Welcome to the Doom Kitchen. This is not a news show. It's a talk show. We do not give financial, legal, medical, or any kind of advice. We are not responsible for the actions of our listeners. You are responsible for you. If anything offends you, we were only joking. Promise.
Welcome to the Doom Kitchen. This week, I have a returning guest. She was on Burn Babylon Burn just a few weeks ago, but now she's here in the Doom Kitchen. Welcome to the show, Eurekas Kastle.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thanks for being there. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right. So you wanted to unwrap some health issues this week. Recently we had sorry, I got a loop. Did not mean to do that. But anyway, recently I had Phytophiliac on the show, and she was talking a lot about the hospital system and everything like that. But you wanted to talk about health as well. What do you think? What's going on with that?
Well, so I don't really want to talk about the health system because I'll tell you that the health system is messed up. Like there's not I don't believe that there's a reform that could be put in place to fix it at this point. So what I would like people to really think about is taking control of their own health, right? I mean, like you hear this over and over again, but this is something you can do and it's something you should do. Like you have to do this. It's so important to make sure that you are taking control of your own health. And there's a lot of ways that you can do that. Everybody thinks it's hard. I need to go see the doctor. I need pills. I need this. I need that. But like once you start making some changes to yourself and your life, your what you eat, how you spend your day, how you spend your time, your emotional state, whatever, you'll find that you don't want the doctors to help you with these things. Like you really want to stay away from them. And if you quote quote do your own research, you won't want to be anywhere near doctors. So
Right.
that's sort of how I'm approaching health. Like I said, Phyto's in the middle of it, whereas I'm far removed from it now. I worked for a hospital for 16 years, and I worked in PR and marketing. And so I touched every department, and I got to see a lot of the nitty gritty that goes on, and things that I didn't like. And I didn't like it then. And since COVID, it's become just glaringly obvious that the health system is it's beyond anything. We cannot fix it the way that it is. It's out of control.
Yeah. So the goal is to not get there, or get in there. To stay on the outside and enjoy your health. But what are some tips, tricks, things to do in order to keep out of that place?
Well, so I would say, I would never say don't go to the doctor, right? Like I would say use the doctor. Use the doctor as a tool. You want blood work, you want imaging, whatever you want to find out where your health status is, use them. Get a copy of your labs, read them all. Look it up if you don't understand what something is, because your doctor is gonna miss something and your doctor is not going to tell you something important even if they see it. So, that's where I would say start from there. Like get a baseline of where you are. And then everybody will hate my advice, because my advice is stop eating crap. Like full stop. Stop eating processed foods. Stop eating sugar. Stop eating, carbs. Like you have to really get yourself back to eating like a natural human should, because there are so many diseases that are absolutely traced back to diet and your nutritional status, your metabolic health. But I would say start small. Pick a thing and just say I don't want this thing. Like for us, that we started with saying we're not eating trans fats. We did that 12 years ago. Not eating trans fats anymore. There's too much going on, so we just stopped buying things with trans fats. And then the next thing we said, okay, well, we're not going to buy things with artificial colors. So we stopped doing that. And then we stopped buying things with artificial flavors. And then we stopped buying things with seed oils. So then, it's just like you kind of whittle it down, and, you might miss some of it, and it takes a lot of willpower to do it, but like just making small changes. Yes, they're incremental changes, but they're a big deal.
What do you know about the seed oil thing? I've heard this, and I want to know more. I would like somebody to explain it a bit better.
Well, so seed oils are thought to be inflammatory in your system. They cause oxidative stress, and they're not really a natural source of, where we would be getting those linoleic acids. So we get a lot of linoleic acid in our food, and seed oils are really high in that. So we don't need to be consuming extra. And so sort of the thought behind why seed oils are bad is that they do cause like this chronic inflammation. And if you have, if your body is chronically inflamed, you're weakening your system, you're causing stress on your cells, and oxidative stress is part of, what they were saying is like causing bad COVID outcomes. It's inflammation and cytokine storm, and like that if you're eating seed oils, particularly on a regular basis, you're creating a chronic inflammatory state. So your body is not able to fight off other things that come along. So you might end up with cancer. It's weakening your immune system. And we stopped eating seed oils, and I stopped getting sunburned. So take that for what you will.
I've heard that.
Yep.
That's something that I've heard about it. I've also heard that seed oils are industrial waste.
Some of them are.
Right?
Some of them are.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I would say
specifically
not everything, and there are a lot of seed oils that are produced for consumption. Like they'll say it's like cold pressed oil and this and that. Like I would say, just that comes to mind, probably like sunflower oil is probably processed as a food oil. But yeah, there are a lot of them that they're sort of like a byproduct almost.
Yeah, and they stick canola oil in just about everything, and that's pretty much what every restaurant is stocking as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one thing it's really difficult to eat out. I think I maybe have 2 or 3 restaurants that I can go to, but on the other hand, I save money, so there's that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's there. Seed oils is the hardest one to avoid, and that's why it was the last one that we started avoiding. Like we went organic in 2014, and we thought we were doing like the right thing by limiting meat and eating more just vegetarian for a few years, but like neither of us was feeling better, and so I think it was like around 2018 we decided like let's go low carb. Let's see what is this keto stuff about. Like let's try that and see how it goes. And amazingly, I had chronic back pain for years that it disappeared. And I can tell you it came back when I decided to have birthday week and had cake and ice cream every single day, for a week. My back pain came back. So that was enough for me to say like this is not, we need to not eat pasta, even though I like pasta, and just stop eating bread, stop eating ice cream, stop eating cake. But once you're off that stuff, it's easy to keep off of it because you've broken that addiction that you have.
And I see a lot of the big guys at the truck stop waddle in, and they always have the massive cup. The cup is unbelievably huge. It's at least a gallon, and they fill it completely with soda.
With soda.
And yeah, well, not soda as in soda water, but
right.
Coca-Cola
like
stuff
Coke,
like
yeah. Oh man, I used to be a big time soda drinker. Like I used to drink a lot of it, and I want to say probably about 15 years ago I quit and I went to diet, which I'm not going to recommend diet for anybody either. But man, I lost 20 pounds like immediately within like a month and a half. I lost 20 pounds by switching from regular to diet. Now, I don't drink diet anymore either, because that has its own, that's literally just a can full of chemicals. Like, there is nothing in diet soda that is not, other than the water. It's all chemicals. So I don't drink that either. But yeah, like all that sugar. And again, sugar is going to do a similar thing that seed oils do. Sugar is going to cause chronic inflammation. It's going to cause insulin resistance. It's going to give you diabetes, and it's going to give you heart disease. It's going to give you kidney disease. All sorts of terrible stuff.
Yeah, the artificial sugars are just as bad, if not worse. I saw the studies on those, and there was so many side effects. It was over 100 side effects, and some of them were lethal and incurable. And yeah, those things are pretty nasty, I think.
Yeah, I remember growing up, NutraSweet, that was the thing, right? Like everybody was pushing NutraSweet, and now you barely would see aspartame in anything now, because it's, the research is there and it's shown that it's damaging. But now, of course, you have your sucralose and um, your erythritol and other things like that, stevia, and they all can have side effects too. Like there's some research saying that some of them still will spike your insulin, and some of them will cause digestive issues, which is also poor, not good for your metabolic health. So I do try to stay away from those two. I use monk fruit, to be honest. That's the one that I use when I need a sweetener. Um, I guess I do have one drink that has stevia in it, but still,
Is
even those artificial, like quote quote natural sweeteners, they still have a metabolic effect on you. So
Stevia is not a chemical though, right? It's
N-
a
it's extracted from a plant. Yeah.
okay. Yeah,
Mhm.
I don't like it because it tastes like an artificial sweetener, and I've never liked the flavor of artificial sweeteners, but they're yeah, if I get something, and it's pretty rare that I'll take a chance on something that I don't normally drink, and then when I do and it has that flavor, I'm just done with it.
It's almost like an aftertaste, huh? It's
Yeah,
it's like, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. Yeah, I try to avoid those sweeteners too, and I'm kind of the same. Like I'll try something if it has it, just to see if I like it, but it's not that often that I find something that I like enough to like continue to get it over and over. Like tangerine flavored Kavita, that's the one that I can tolerate.
I
But
guess
yeah,
the,
and that one
the
has that one
tangerine.
definitely has stevia in it. Yeah, but it's
Okay, the
yeah.
tangerine means out the gross flavor.
Yeah, I think there's just like something about the flavor balance too. It's got like tangerine and vanilla and something else. It's just like, yeah, it's not super sweet. And yeah, there's just something about it that it's, you don't really like taste that aftertaste. But yeah, I know exactly what you're talking. It's just like kind of like that taste that lingers. I mean, diet soda, like all diet soda is kind of that way, really,
When
when you think about it.
I lived in New Zealand, and they had these drinks that were it was kind of like a Sprite, but they don't use corn syrup there. So it was real. And then the other part of it was fruit juice. And so I started making sodas that way for myself every now and then, where I'll just take some juice and mix it with fizzy water, not Sprite, but just some kind of fizzy water. And I think that makes up a good kind of cola kind of thing, but with fruit juice instead. You know, pineapple and sparkling water, basically.
Yeah, that's definitely better than drinking something commercial from a can.
And the funny thing about all these things is that they're trying to be fruit. Why not? Why not just drink fruit juice?
Well, I mean, you can't make that artificial. Like you have to actually really use fruit if you're going to do that.
Right, right. No, I'm saying to people
Yeah.
instead,
Yeah.
just go get a can of pineapple juice is super sweet, and it's got actual food in it, while that stuff doesn't.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. My guess would be that the sugar in fruit juice, though it is sugar, is probably not on the same level of addictive as the sugar in, say, like a Pepsi or something like that. Of course, you have the other things in there. You have the caffeine and all the other things that people want, but that would be my take on that. It's a different type of sugar, like it's going to be all fructose, right? If it's coming from fruit. Not that I really recommend drinking a whole bunch of fruit juice either. Like, you need the fiber from fruit to properly be able to digest that sugar without it going like straight into your bloodstream.
oh, really? Okay,
I'm
that
not a
explains why.
doctor, but yeah.
Yeah. Back to disclaiming. Yeah, none of
Yes.
this is
Disclaimer, I'm
actual
not a
medical
doctor.
advice. This is just us talking. We're,
Yes,
you know,
just giving my opinion based on things I've read. But yes,
right.
you so there have been like clinical studies about that, though, that like when you eat the full fruit with the fiber, that it helps your body process that sugar better without it just going straight into your system as sugar. So yeah,
Okay.
I don't drink a lot of fruit juice either. When oranges are in season, though, I make orange juice because it's good. But I always make sure that if I take it, like, I'm having it with a meal that's got like protein and fat and that sort of stuff, so that I don't end up just messing up my blood sugar that way. Like, I'm not diabetic, but you can definitely control the effects that food has on your body too. So.
Right. I know someone that's diabetic that has lost toes because of
Mm,
it. So yeah,
mm.
that's nowhere you want to be. And a majority of it is preventable. So
Oh, absolutely. It's preventable. And if you catch type 2 diabetes, studies are showing now that if you catch it before it becomes full-blown diabetes, you can reverse it. You can fix your body. Like, we always think of diabetes as like, oh, your body's not producing enough insulin, right? So you need to take these shots. But what happens with like type 2 diabetes is that your body becomes resistant to the insulin that you're producing. It's not that your pancreas is not producing insulin. And this is not every case, obviously, but many cases is your your blood sugar is spiking constantly. You're promoting insulin production in your body, and so your body becomes resistant to it, and it can't modulate itself anymore. So there's drugs that they can take, but it can be managed with diet. It can be managed with there's nutraceuticals, all sorts of things. Like, every time I turn around, I'm finding information about something that has to do with blood sugar and insulin resistance, and like this, whatever it is I'm looking into. If I'm looking into like green tea extract with each ECGC, like, somehow these things all have this tie to like modulating your blood sugar and preventing you from becoming insulin resistant. And so I'm like, is this the like center of all disease? I have no idea, but it's very interesting that like all the rabbit holes I go down, just about like 95% of them have some tie to that, which is pretty crazy.
so sugar is a big part of what's wrong with people these days, you think?
Definitely. And I say this as someone with a sweet tooth and thought they could never give I like thought I could never give up sugar. Like, not ever. I had it in my coffee every morning. I thought that this was just like not something I could do. And one day I just said, like, I'm going to try something else. So I tried like monk fruit drops, and I quit sugar cold turkey. And it wasn't, oh no, it wasn't hard. It wasn't hard. I just did it. I just decided I was going to do it. Um, and like, I'm not saying that I like to have dessert. I have dessert on occasion, but like, this is not an everyday thing for me. And I don't think we're not designed to eat cake all day and, drink sugar. Like, where would we get all of that naturally? We wouldn't.
Yeah, that's why birthday week is once a year.
That's why birthday week's once a year. It's for sure. Like I'm, every couple of weeks we'll have dessert or something like that. But for the most part, I try to avoid it. Like I'll have a little bit of chocolate, like dark chocolate, but yeah, it's
Oh yeah.
just, like meat has been so demonized. And we all know
Yeah.
now that the sugar industry paid for a lot of the studies to say that meat was bad for you. So it's
Yeah, I spent a majority of my life as a vegetarian, and just recently, like within the last few months, started eating meat again. After what, 34 years, I believe it was. But it was because it accidentally ended up in some takeout, and I wasn't gonna throw it away, and so I tried it, and I felt really good afterwards. And I'm thinking, okay, well, I should probably see about this. And then also, just the way that the psychopaths are trying to push the fake processed garbage meat, that or grow meat in a lab or make meat illegal and all of this stuff. And I see that the globalists are attacking it, so it must be good.
Eating meat is an act of rebellion.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so that's another thing that I would say. I promote eating meat, but I'm an animal lover. I care about how animals are treated, and I care that they're being raised right, and I care that they're being raised in a manner that's nutritious to us. Because if you're just raising something and killing it and we're eating it, but it's not beneficial to us, what have we done? So I think, I have a lot of respect for farmers that raise their animals, in a humane manner and feed them the things that the animal would naturally eat, and focus on caring for the animal's health. We know a lot of local farmers that do that, and like I couldn't do it. It would break my heart. I couldn't do it. I understand that. So I have other skills that I can make money and trade money for food. I don't need to raise my own food currently, but I think that the way that I'm obviously think that factory farming is bad. I think that it doesn't respect the life of the animals. It doesn't respect the life of the humans eating the animals, right? So grass-fed beef, if you have to eat beef, grass-fed beef. Um, I don't eat very much chicken because I don't really like the way that it's raised. Even organically, they feed them a lot of soy. You have to like go find a farmer that doesn't feed soy and doesn't feed corn, because again, you're getting the polyunsaturated fat from the corn, from the soy. It'd be, you don't want to consume soybean oil, so you probably don't want to consume soybean fed chickens. Um, so you do have to be careful with your meat sources. Pork is the same. You have to find pork that is fed a more natural diet. Um, but yeah, like I am very concerned about the push toward lab grown meats, the push toward um, you know, fake meats and alternate protein sources that are not natural to us. They're not natural to
Right.
human beings. Like we don't look at a cockroach nest and be like, "Oh, yummy." Like I
Let's
think that
milk
there
them.
yeah, I think that there's a biological evolutionary response to bugs where we say, "Oh, that's yucky. Those are bad. We don't want those." I think that there's a reason for that.
Right, right. So whenever Bill Gates is giving us our cricket allowance, we should be feeding those to things that actually eat them, like chickens. And
Chickens, yes.
yeah,
Yes, I will be very happy to eat bug-fed chickens. How about that?
right. Right. I just saw this thing that there's a chicken feed that's going out that has caused people's hens to stop laying, and that's a really interesting thing. I'm probably going to follow up on that and burn Babylon Burn, because I think it's a big deal. Um, but yeah, whenever it seems part of the orchestration, part of the how do you deplete America's food supply? Because really, we have the best food system in the world, and look at, more food gets wasted and people are monstrously obese, but that they're also malnourished because
right. It's such a paradox, right? It's like how
yeah,
can you be so obese and you're malnourished? But like, if you really want to dive down a rabbit hole with me, I feel like the food supply that we are given, right, is very commercial. It's a very everything is sort of monocrop. Like, yes, there's a lot of vegetables and whatnot in the grocery store, but is that what we would be eating? No, I don't think we would. We would be foraging for a portion of our food. We would be, eating things that were available to us in our own environment. So a lot of things that I'm learning about right now, as far as like, I guess you would say herbs and just sources of compounds that are good for us. Like, I've started to dive down that thing of like, we should be eating this. Like, this is a thing that's good for us. We should be eating wild berries, right? They're so full of all sorts of nutrients that we're not getting. And we're sick because we're not getting something that we are conditioned to get. We should be foraging. We should be eating roots and shrubs and all sorts of things, and we're just not doing that. So that's one of my that's been one of my like recent epiphanies. Is like, every time I go out for like a walk in the wilderness type area, I'm looking at things and I'm like, is this edible? I should learn about this. Like, what is this? But
yeah.
going
I
back
went and
to our
got
food supply, I mean, it drives me buggy to no end to hear people say like, "Oh, it's not intentional." Like, I'm sorry, everybody can't be failing up at the same time, right? Like, if
right,
all of our incompetence goes straight to the top, like, what how did we get here? Like, our this is not how humanity is supposed to work, right? If the incompetence always went straight to the top, we would have been wiped out. Like, we wouldn't be here anymore. It would be the lions would
right.
come eat us all and we would be gone. So what is going on?
Well, there's a bunch of distributors that burned down in the last year. There was the bottleneck of the animal processors, and so only the major corporations were allowed to process for a certain moment in time. There's been a lot of attacks on our food, and then just the import between when the virus was such a big deal, they were not letting a lot of countries import food to us unless they went and followed with their nonsense virus protocols. So they were cutting these guys off. That really hurts the economy of those countries.
Yeah, I had to wonder about what was going on with New Zealand for a while, because a lot of pet food products, a lot of the meat that is grown for pet food products comes from New Zealand. I mean, not all of it, but a fair amount. And for me, I wasn't able to get food for my pets. I've had to switch them half a dozen times. But yeah, it's definitely, I mean, yes, we can blame the lockdowns and all of that, but things are back to normal. What's this egg shortage? Well, the egg shortage is not caused by avian flu. It's caused by culling animals
Yeah,
under the guise of avian flu. Like all the news reports will say that X amount of birds died because of avian flu. Well, they didn't die of avian flu. They got culled. The farmers went out and killed them. And I believe that's a government regulation that they have to do. It's not that the farmers think that this is a great idea.
well, they were using the what is it, polymer chain reaction, PCR, or it's poly something chain reaction, right? But they were using the PCR tests, the same
Right.
ones that you're able to
Right.
detect anything that you want. If you really look hard enough, you can find whatever you want. And so they were using this as an excuse to take them out. And it's so funny how they just work so hard at doing that. And then also that there was some sort of chronic wasting disease on deer, and so they were going to people's land to cull their deer. So there's something going on, and maybe it's always been like this, but I don't think so. I know that it's not just because we started paying a lot more attention to it. This is weird.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that it's weird. Like I was thinking back about mm, back before everybody was connected 24/7 to the internet, like things like floods in California. Like we knew that they happened, but it wasn't a topic that everybody knew and everybody could share an intimate detail on. So I do wonder about that, if we just like have we're just more connected, and that's why we know about things that we would not have known about before because they just weren't reported. And that, in some respects the media is pressured to report things because people are talking about them. So I would say, like, it's hard to say on that, like, but we're feeling it, right? We're feeling it when we go buy food. Like we didn't feel it before.
And then
So
there's
so that's what makes
also
it seem like to me like this is more, it's different.
the other component to this is fuel slash energy, and that really goes into this as well because everything that's coming to people is shipped. I mean, most of the time I'm shipping food whenever I drive, and if the fuel's up, then it's going to cost the consumer as well.
Yep.
And so they attack our food and they attack our energy, and most people are not making the right choices anyway. I think they're not making the right choices, but it's really difficult to make the right choices. They eliminate a lot of them, and then they put labels on things that make it sound like it's healthy, and it's not at all. I've seen that on a few occasions where you see something and it says natural or natures or something like that, and you read it and there's nothing nature about it.
Correct. And the USDA does not require, they don't have good standards on that. So you have to read the labels yourself. I mean, once I would say read the labels on everything you put into your body, regardless, whether it's a pharmaceutical, whether it's food, a beverage. Like there have been times that I've bought something and been like, oh shit, this has thing X in it. I don't want it. Like I'm not going to eat that now. Or occasionally, okay, well, just this one time, but I'm never going to buy this again, right? Like, so that's what conditioned me to read labels always, is that something that you would think, like, it would say, like, oh, with olive oil, and then you buy the thing, and it's like, and also canola and soy oil. Why? How can you put this on the label? Contains olive oil, yes, okay, great, but it also contains, 5 other things that I didn't want.
So you're the one that hit me in the mouth, and why I listen to No Agenda. He was just talking about the good European butter, and they have this new spreadable kind,
Oh
and
yeah.
lo and behold, it's full of canola.
The Kerrygold. The Kerrygold. Yeah,
Yeah,
Kerrygold switched their formula, I guess, and now their spreadable butter has canola oil. I know we bought one too, and we didn't realize that it had canola because we were just accustomed, it was Kerrygold. But Kerrygold's also under some heat, I believe, for I believe it is glyphosate being detected in their butter, which means that their grass pastured cows are eating food that's been sprayed with, for all intents and purposes, poison.
yep. That stuff is everywhere, and it is really bad for us. And trying to avoid glyphosate is very difficult.
It is very difficult. I mean, like, we eat all organic and we understand that we're taking, whatever, we're going on faith that the organic food is not grown with bad chemicals and things like that. But, the conventional food absolutely is. So there, if I have to choose between might have some herbicides or pesticides, or definitely does, I'm gonna pick might has, right? Yeah, glyphosate is terrible. Glyphosate, um, they bill it as good for humans, but what it actually does, and what it does to um, the plants is, it like messes up their sort of like metabolic process in the plants, right? Well, when you consume it, it messes up your gut microbiome. So it's not necessarily getting you. It's not hurting you, but it's hurting something that is important to, promoting your digestion and getting all of the nutrients from your food into your body. So yeah, it messes up your gut microbiome is what it does.
Right. Well, does that pretty much covers the dieting part of it, right? Or unless you got anything else to add, right?
Oh God, we could go on forever about food and what to eat and what not to eat, and like it's just endless. But like, if it comes from a package, maybe don't eat it. Maybe cook some real meat and buy some real vegetables and go that route. I mean, that's what I do every single night. My meals aren't fancy. We eat like three things and very few ingredients though, but it tastes good and you feel better.
Yeah, it really doesn't take too many ingredients to get good food. It seems that all the stuff that's bad for you has hundreds of them
Mm-hmm.
instead of two or three, because they have fillers and dyes and color and yeah,
Yeah, preservatives.
right, right. Oh yeah, that's a huge one.
Preservatives is a big one. I know I should mention that. I should assume that not everybody is far along in the process as I am and needs to be told not to eat preservatives. Because
Right.
that's just like, that was probably like thing number 3 that we stopped doing, was like, no more preservatives.
And it's in all the restaurant food. That's a thing too. So I
Yeah.
mean, they're not going to, unless you're going to some farm to table kind of place, they're not going to source the most premium stuff. They're, if it's fast food, for instance, they're going to get you the cheapest stuff that they can get.
Yeah, it's going to come in like a big vat.
I would not like to see it. What they're, when they're shipping in the stuff and it's just yeah, I'm sure it does not look like food at that point. But I think I think the other part is going outside.
Yes, for
And
sure. Going outside and getting real sunlight, getting vitamin D from nature, from the sun, the way that you're supposed to. Um, the way that we work is not natural. Sitting at a desk all day is not natural. Um, we haven't been doing like these types of work really long enough for for our bodies to adapt to it, and we're watching the way that they are adapting. It's not a good thing. So yeah, I personally go out and make sure that I get vitamin D every day. There's an app called D-Minder that you can get for whatever, Android, iOS, and it will tell you when the best times of the day to get vitamin D from your location. Like, you put in all your information and your skin type and all of that, and it can remind you when there's sunlight, and you can start a sun session, and it'll tell you, hey, I think you've been out here for too long. Go in now. Like, you've got enough. Don't get a sunburn. So it's a really cool app, and I use that. And I think, like, people keep asking me like, "Oh, how come you didn't get COVID? Because you're really bad and you don't wear a mask and you don't give a shit about social distancing." Like, how come you didn't get it? And I'm just like, well, probably because I got vitamin D. You know, I really tried to make an effort to do that and get it from the sun. It's hard for people though, because nowadays when the sun is at its best, where are we? We're sitting indoors. We're stuck at a computer. We're, you know, doing a repetitive motion that we wouldn't naturally be doing. And, you know, I don't know. I'm one of those people that doesn't believe that we are, you know, meant to toil endlessly from sun up to sundown either. I think that that's, you know, maybe during hard times, but I think that when we have your tribe, right? Everybody is doing their part in their tribe. That, you know, you wouldn't just be picking things in a crop all day. You'd be doing other stuff. You'd be doing a variety of things.
Yeah, apparently, from what I've heard recently, that the old day serfs didn't spend 8 hours working. They had it better than us in some ways.
Yeah, I mean, you know, when there was daylight, they could do their things, and when there wasn't daylight, they had downtime, right? Like, what was there to really be doing in the winter? You might, you know, you'd be probably spending harvest time harvesting and preparing anything that you needed to store and things like that. But like during the winter time, you would be conserving your energy, right? You wouldn't be out in a field, like what's growing in December. So I think that that's, you know, sort of where some like like winter holidays and things like that come out of, just having, you know, something to do. I feel like it's something that people need to celebrate.
Yeah, and the fresh air too.
Yeah.
Sitting indoors and getting recycled air all the time. Nah,
Yeah.
you need to get out
You
there
need to
and
get
breathe.
outside. You need to be moving. You need to be doing things. Yeah, this is another one of those like thoughts that I've just been like recently having more of, is, you know, like obviously I know that it's not right and good to sit at a desk all day, and I don't. I limit my work hours at the desk as much as I can and still, you know, afford to get by. Like that's how I live my life. I'm fortunate that I can do it that way. I know not everybody can, but yeah, it's just thinking of like, what would human beings be doing just like 300 years ago? What did you do 300 years ago? Like, we're not that. You can't go from like where we were to where we are in such a short period and not expect there to be some sort of issues with that. So yeah, I try to use incandescent light bulbs instead of LEDs and fluorescent light bulbs. I try to use, you know, I wish I could say less screen time, but I don't. I don't use less screen time. I think that's something that I would like to work on. I spend time listening to podcasts, so I'm not looking at the screen. So there's that. So no agenda's handy for that. No agenda's a good 3
Yeah,
hours.
sure. Yeah. Or if you cheat and listen to it on 1.7 speed like I do, and
Oh
it's
no.
a lot less. I got a lot of shows to get in. I know that Adam doesn't prefer people to listen to it multi-speeded, but I do.
Hey, as long as you're listening.
Exactly.
As
That's
long
how
as
I
you're
see it.
listening. Yeah.
I think my show sounds best double speed. So if y'all are out there listening and you want to listen, I think I sound a lot better times two. But I'm super used to my voice, and I know what I said whenever I hear myself back. And occasionally, whenever I speed up some of my words, they sound really funny. There's a few times where I've said eggs, and it sounds like I'm saying something completely different. Ags. It sounded like ags. I don't know how, but you know. And whenever I listen to this back on double speed, I'm going to see how both of them sound together.
Well, I'm kind of a fast talker, so.
Oh yeah, I might have to reduce a little bit.
I'm a little bit of a fast talker. Once you get me going, I just start going.
So is there anything else that goes into the list of smart things to do to make us healthier humans?
Well, man, friggin' turn off the news, dude. Turn off the news. Don't assume that you can fix everything with the surgery or with pharma. You know, do your own research. Read things. Like, there's clinical studies that back up so much natural health now, and that's one of the things that I've been really super into, right? Like, if I read about something that's good, I'll go into Google Scholar, and I want to see, like, people, what is the clinical research on this? Because there is for everything, because you want to monetize everything. So if something has a benefit, like, you can go in there and you can find studies on just all sorts of stuff. Learn about things outside of our own culture too. Like, maybe you might want to learn about Chinese traditional medicine, or you might want to learn about, Native American medicine and things like that. Those are my recommendations, other than absolutely clean up your diet and go outside and move. But yeah, just like keep an open mind. Like,
I got one. Don't overeat. So many
don't
people do.
overeat. Yes.
Yeah.
You know what? You will find, that's another thing. You will find that if you stop eating bad stuff, like if you eat a wholesome, full, whole food meal, that you will not be inclined to overeat. Like, I definitely don't. I eat like 2 meals a day, and that's it. Like, but I'm satisfied with what I have.
I'm one or two, and if I feel hungry and I've already eaten and I don't think I should eat more, I'll eat some salad, something like that, some vegetables, and then call that done. That's how I've been doing it lately, at least. And
Yeah.
then and dropping bread, after dropping bread, I'm not as full. So that's a thing. I
Yeah,
recently
that's true. That's true. Do you fast at all? Like, I know that a lot of people push fasting, and I personally don't fast because I don't do well with it. So I don't tell anybody to fast, but fasting is
I've
another one.
I've gone 48 hours or probably 45, but yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I don't do super well with it, so I don't do it myself, but um I don't know, my breakfast is usually uh, black or coffee with heavy cream, no sugar. That's my breakfast. And then I'll eat lunch like 1 o'clock. So,
Yeah, I try to get into the middle of the day and then eat. So um, today I haven't had anything, and I'm gonna wait until about 5 if I can. So I
it's
have all the
healthy
options in
to
the
do
world
that.
to
Yeah,
yeah,
healthy to do that.
yeah, that's a new thing that I'm trying. So we'll see how that works. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
So there's putting toxic things in as far as news and things like that. But I've heard this thing about certain sound hertz and light that the television gives off that messes with people. So it seems like everything is out to kill us now.
That's not a rabbit hole I've gone down yet. There's so much to learn, but one that I have been learning about is pulse electromagnetic frequency for healing. Um, that's, it goes in with the same things. Like, we're getting all of these, you know, electronic waves from everything. And we're getting all of like the LED flickers and just all of the electromagnetic interferences that we wouldn't be used to. So I haven't really quite um, embraced reading on that, because I'm like, right now I'm really super into nutrition and just finding out like what I can do to better improve my health, health of my family, health of my pets, things like that. Like, what can we do? What, you know, what are we missing in our daily life? So that's kind of where I've been on that. It's, like I said, it's really hard to give up screens and hard to give up podcasts. You never know. You just never know how those things are affecting you, though. Although I have been trying to use my AirPods less because I'm just not sure if those are good or not. Probably not.
With Bluetooth, yeah, Bluetooth
Probably giving
does.
myself a brain tumor.
Yeah.
To
I
eat
think,
all
yeah,
my
everything.
anti-cancer supplements.
That's the thing is you can't live perfectly in a way in a society like this without giving up a whole lot. Basically, you would have to go live out in the woods and not have anything electronic with you at all. But there's certain things that taking one of those steps could go a really long way. And I really like the idea of reading everything and being conscious of what it is and what it does, because there's just such a list on this stuff. And yeah, if it's garbage, don't eat it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we could talk about this for weeks and weeks and weeks and not even scratch the surface of, what is good for your health and what isn't good for your health. And, just things again, it's talking back on like Bluetooth and stuff. I keep my phone is on airplane mode always, unless I've left the house and I don't have Wi-Fi somewhere. Now, I don't think Wi-Fi is great either, but I
Right.
definitely know cell phone radiation is much worse than Wi-Fi. So, yeah, you got to learn about things and figure out what can you do a little thing to reduce this? What small change could you do that would make a big impact?
I'm really weirded out about the 5G thing because they made a big deal about putting it in and they spent tons and tons of money, but they still haven't turned it on. And that's telling me that there is a lot more going on with this than the regular news is telling you. We've talked about it in our kook society that we're in, but but regular people don't know this. That I mean, if they spent so much money making sure that this 5G would cover the entire country, and they still haven't turned it on. Something tells me that when they do, a lot of bad stuff is going to happen.
You're not going to be able to avoid it either. Even if you're out, even if you live in the middle of nowhere, I was looking at where the 5G networks go, they have pretty much got it covered. Yeah, I don't really know that much about 5G either because it's hard to figure out what's the truth and what's not, and I don't know. There was that weird thing where they were banning people or shadow banning people or whatever on social media for saying that COVID was caused by 5G. That was strange to me. I don't like that kind of stuff, that's sketch shit. On the other hand, I'm is this some sort of game? Are they playing some sort of game with us? I don't know what to think about that kind of stuff. But yeah, like I said, phone goes on airplane mode. I don't know if that's protecting me. But, if it's good enough for the airplane, when you go on the airplane, right? It's supposed to turn it off. Supposedly. It should do something.
I don't think that the phones interfere with the airplanes at all.
I don't think they do either. Because there's been times that I forgot to turn mine off and it was fine.
I know that the majority of the people on the plane don't turn it off. So,
right?
But it doesn't it saves your battery if you turn it off. That's one
true.
thing. Because it's not trying to reach out for a signal.
Right, exactly.
So
yeah.
That's the upside of putting your phone on airplane mode.
Yeah, but mine's always in airplane mode, but sometimes I don't get calls because of that. Sometimes it'll evade the Wi-Fi and oh well. Oh well, I'm not sad about it.
I have a little Wi-Fi, a wireless Wi-Fi box. It's like that big. Could probably go. But anyway, that thing. Whoa, I got loud. But that thing is it is been left on the plane and it didn't interfere with anything. I'm not even worried about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I feel like that's kind of like an archaic thing.
the 5G apparently interferes with something with the planes because they were saying that they can't have it on, and they're going to have to block out the flight areas so that they can land if it's foggy and things like that. So that was a story from a few months ago. I heard.
Oh, I hadn't heard that. I'll have to read into some of that.
And apparently they have 6 and 7 almost ready to go already.
Oh my God. You know,
Yeah.
to me, this seems like this thing, like, I don't know. Have you ever noticed how, like, there's places where they're constantly doing road construction and they're like moving the lanes over, and, oh, we're changing this off ramp and da, da, da. And like a couple years later, they do it all over again. And it's like, did it make anything better, or were they just doing something to spend some money? Like, is this really do we really need 6 and 7G, or are they just looking for some way to spend some money? Like, I just happened to notice that recently. I was just like, it's this new off ramp. What is it? What I mean, like, it's the old off ramp, but they changed the way these lanes are, and this isn't better for anybody. Nobody is less confused here. They're
Yeah.
just doing it to spend money.
They might be doing it to put the towers up. So, or some other kind of the cables down, that kind of thing. That's
doing things to spend money.
Yeah. Well, I hope so. I hope it's not something devious. But
I mean, it could be, but like, money's a pretty big driver too. Like, the average person is doing it for money. Bill Gates isn't doing it for money, but the average person is doing it for money.
what do you think his thing is, other than, being the son of the Planned Parenthood guy?
Man, I don't know. It's hard to say. He's a weird one. Like, you'll see people like Robert Malone will say, like, oh, he's a monopolist. He just wants to be in control of everything, which I'm sure that there is some of that. I'm sure that there is some of that. But like, some of his things are just really weird. Like, I'm drinking poop water. Like, what the hell? Why you want us to all drink poop water? Like, what is like, you guys should all drink poop. Oh, look, I'm doing it too. Like, you guys should all eat lab grown meat. Oh, look, I'm eating lab grown meat. It's so delicious. Like,
Yeah. Well, I think he's a demon. That's
okay.
all there is to it.
I mean,
but
I'm not opposed to exploring that theory. He could be.
Just hates us that much,
He could be. I mean, like, yeah, I literally think maybe he got shoved in a locker too many times growing up, and is like, it's like Revenge of the Nerds, right? Like,
yeah.
But is he really a nerd? Is he this brilliant person? That's that's to be determined. I'm sure he is a shrewd businessman, but he's not a tech genius, that's for sure.
A lot of people are created, and there's the whole thing of who his parents are. So he was kind of perfectly fitting into that. Corbett did a really good documentary on Bill Gates, and
yeah, he did. It's like that three parts. I know, I've listened to the whole thing like multiple times because it is really interesting. But yeah, I mean, like, he's in everything. Get out. We don't want you in everything.
He's not that young, so he's going to destroy our lives so that he can have, his next like 20, 30 years, however long he's got, So
yeah, it's pretty bizarre. It is pretty bizarre.
Trying to block out the sun, just every single thing that he's got his hands on is really anti-humanity.
Food. So, okay. So I wasn't sure how I was feeling about, they've been trying to find ways to keep cows from burping, right? Cows making their methane burps, which I actually firmly believe is part of a cow's natural metabolic process, and we probably shouldn't mess with it.
Right.
But so they've been exploring feeding them like seaweed or something. And I just found out that Bill Gates is helping like fund that. It's on No Agenda. Like, I'd heard about it probably 6 months to a year ago, and I thought, I don't think I like this. I think that you're manipulating the cow's natural digestive process. I don't think that's a good thing. So I didn't really, I would prefer not to eat cows or drink milk from cows that are fed seaweed. That's my personal preference. But now I know what to think of it. You know what I mean? Like before I wasn't sure what to think of it. It didn't sound like something I wanted to purchase, but now I definitely don't want to. Like, isn't that funny how like everything he touches is just like you like shrink back, like, oh
Exactly.
God, if Bill Gates wants to do it, there must be something wrong with it. So like it's only to make money, or it's only like it's gonna do something bad to us. We're gonna block the sun and eat crickets. Like, why are you buying the farmland?
I'm looking forward to when regular people realize what he is, and sure, he's bought up all of this farmland, including at the headwaters. That's been an especially big goal for him, is to get the farmland at the headwaters. So that tells you something, and whenever everyone realizes what he is, then you don't really have this farmland if you can't defend it. Not bed posting here. I'm just saying,
Yeah, but do you think that he won't have like his Boston Dynamics dog drone armies there to just like machine
I can't wait.
Down?
I cannot wait to shoot robots. That is, I'm super excited about that. I'm thinking about what the best way to take down a robot's going to be.
Personal EMP. I would like to have a handheld EMP. I think that would be like super awesome.
Tripwire and paint probably go a long way, because if you turn off its sensors with the paint, just dousing these things in paint probably gets them. But yeah, that'll be fun. Yeah,
as long as they don't have thermo sensors or anything sonar.
I think that they're going to make it equivalent to harming a human as far as the law goes. I think we'll see that come along.
Oh my God. Oh yeah. What was it? San Francisco or someplace that was gonna like make it legal to like send their drone dogs after people. I think it was San Francisco. Don't quote me on that.
There's a robot. There was a robot. I don't know if it's still there, but he was walking around the Dallas airport telling people that they need to put their mask on. So, yeah, I would like to hurt robots. It's okay.
Did you tell the robot that he could eat a satchel of Richards?
No, I didn't see the robot in person. Oh. I was looking for him.
Oh my God, I would hate that so much. I would hate that so much. Yeah, yep. That's a whole nother topic. Oh my God. So much going on right now in the world.
Yeah, it's crazy, crazy world. But let's get out of here. How do people find you, Eureka?
I am Eurekas Kastle on Twitter. That's the best way to find me.
Awesome. And I'm the Doom Kitchen on Twitter, and you can find me there. So let's have some fun. Thanks, Eureka.
Thanks.
Much of the music has become audible garbage. There is an artist trying to make all that better. From the artist who gave you Truth Be Told and Chasing Midnight comes the ultimate album, Contumacy by Phytophiliac. 6 months in the making, it will make your feet step in the right direction. on January 2nd, 2023. Let this album bring you comfort in knowing that you are not alone in a world dominated by government-funded propaganda, outright lies, from those who seek to make you an all-out slave to their greed, corruption, and abuses. Contumacy will be available on major streaming platforms starting January 22nd, 2023.